the dark, I made my dreams. Permaculture flows like sweet streams. I'm the daddy with the know-how seed. Creating the world like it's meant to be. Permaculture, P-I-M-P, I'm the king. That's the love in everything. Bring a change, making it last. Join the permaculture.
Welcome to episode 316 of the Permaculture Pimpcast, where PIMP stands for Permaculture is my passion.
The rhythm of nature guiding me. Turning red to green to this harmony. Permaculture, P-I-M-P, with soulful grace. In the P-I-M-P scans where we find our place. We fly the earth, one fly.
Oh, yeah. This episode, as always, brought to you by Hickory Ridge Soap from TwoOldCrowsHomestead.com. Turn that simp into a pimp. Bam! Living Soil Foundation. Yeah, buddy. Raised a lot of money for Living Soil Foundation this weekend at the latest gathering. And man, do I want to give a hat tip to everybody that donated. And also my man T out there at Mountain Readiness, folks, y'all. You talk about a selfless guy. He usually does these things at a deficit, at a loss every single time. And he's so selfless that he thought of us and the work we're doing out here and to raise money for us to be able to do what we're doing right now. And I'm going to tell you where every dime of it's going, folks. Hey, doggone it. Give me 1 second. For some reason, my doggone headphones are under the wheel of this chair. Oh. Okay. Yeah, that couldn't be any more unprofessional, but hey, things happen. You know, I'm often reminded back when I used to do, regular radio, like terrestrial radio. I used to be a host at KMBZ in Kansas City. And I remember having to go an hour just to get to the studio, do the show, and then turn back around and come home. Man, forget a bunch of that stuff. This is where I'm not such a technophobe when you got the studio right in your house. So, yeah, we're gonna have hiccups and stuff here and there. So, hey, just want to give a shout out to everybody in his house tonight. Dana, Shield Maiden for Christ, man, I love that name. Let's see here, boy, I'm gonna miss a lot of you. Twyla, Dana, John, Gold, and if I get your name wrong, I'm blaming it on the doggone glasses. And my man Steve, got to see him this weekend. So I got to see a lot of cool people out there today, or at the event at Mountain Readiness, folks. Like I said, it's probably the best festival you don't know about. You got Green Berets running all over the doggone place. You got some that are like living legends, like Sue LaRue, who's out there teaching the tracking class. And then I become friends with one of them out there who's active duty military. He's a major and 3rd Special Forces Group. For those that don't know, hey, Special Forces isn't all special operations. There is literally one Special Forces. Those are your Green Berets, okay? And I was looking for some information regarding certain things, and these guys are really, really awesome specialists at doing certain things. So maybe in the future, I'll tell you what I've been finding out, because these guys work all over the planet, and that's how a Special Forces group works. You know, you got each Special Forces group works in a different part of the world, and they're, experts in those areas. So, man, it was a really good place for me to go there and get some straight up intelligence. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to say the names of these guys for obvious reasons, because I'm not so sure that I'm allowed to know some of the things I'm being told. So it's cool. But, man, also running into these old school Green Berets, man, like Sue LaRue, the dude, the guy just had brain surgery. And I said, man, you're looking good, dude. How are you doing? Because he was looking pretty rough last time I saw him. And he says, man, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. They did that brain surgery on me. Cut my head wide open, but looked in there, didn't find nothing. And I'm like, yeah, okay, you gotta love that. So these guys are as hard as woodpecker lips, man, and gals too, man. There's so many wonderful ladies out there as well. Got to hang out with Pat Miletich, got to meet him in person for the first time. He's another living legend in the mixed martial arts world, former UFC champion, probably trained more champions than anybody else. And in the UFC Hall of Fame. So he was out there teaching a hand-to-hand class, which I had to miss because Friday, Michelle was doing her 20-mile ruck march and was, doing all the preparations for that. And of course, she got through that just fine, notwithstanding a few blisters. And she's still a little bit wore out from all that. But hey, man, she's tough. She is tough. In fact, Ken from Mountainside, with Ken and Amy, he was out there. I ran into him, and we were comparing notes. Like, man, yeah, both of our wives, man, they're like their sisters, man. So they're both tough ladies, man, tough and fantastic. So you got to love that. So I'm just glad she's home. I'm glad I'm home, and man, but every single time I got to drive anywhere, folks. Am I the only one that's noticing that nobody seems to know what a passing lane is for? I know that I can't be the only person noticing this. It's like the older, maybe I'm just getting too old. I don't know. It's like everybody is like creeping in the passing lane. So anytime I drive anywhere, man, and look, I know I did a controversial show last week. I'm not going to do another one of those, but it might be because I'm just going to keep it real. I noticed that. I know this is okay. Look, folks, I'm just going to tell you straight. Okay, in the black community, there was this thing for a while, and it still exists. For those of you that live in urban centers or in the city, you'll notice that historically black people are usually the fastest people on the planet, in terms of running. So how is it they're the slowest people in crosswalks? How does that happen? And then the same thing happens on the road when 9 times out of 10, if you see a person lingering intentionally in the passing lane, you're going to see the same thing. Now, I know you see all this stuff on Twitter and everything, and you see the same kind of people involved, a bunch of, knuckle dragging hood rats, which I can't stand, and I'll make no bones about it. So if anybody's offended about it, hey, take it up with somebody else because I don't care. And since I just happen to be of the brown persuasion, nobody really gives me a whole lot of nonsense over this, but I just got to keep it real. And then every time somebody tells me it's just black culture, no, it's a lack of culture. That's what it is. It isn't black culture. That's not, black culture used to be Earth, Wind, and Fire, even Run DMC. But now this hood rat garbage that I see going on every time I leave the house, it's starting to look to me. Now, I grew up in these places, folks. I know what I'm talking about. It's like it's turning out to be that good behavior is starting to become the exception. And I'm hoping that turns around. And like I've said before, it seems like this whole country seems to be topsy-turvy in so many different ways. And good behavior, good manners, even with people with their kids. I mean, that's all just seems to be something of the past. I mean, I remember growing up, man, you learn to shake a man's hand or a woman's hand. You look them in the eye. Thank you. Yes, sir. No, sir. All those things. Where did all that go? I mean, if this is the direction that America's going, man, I mean, let's collapse already. Boy, this is a heck of a way to start a show. But hey, I'm just telling you exactly. People seem to like it when I've always told you exactly how I feel. I mean, I couch my my words sometimes. But honestly, am I the only one out here saying that it's like good behavior all the way around seems to be the exception? I mean, people just don't even raise their kids anymore, or you're in a setting and all the kids are looking on their phones. I mean, and then knowing what I know about, blue light toxicity and the stuff they're doing, I mean, I guess it's no wonder that we're seeing, this avalanche of bad behavior. But maybe because I live in the country and I don't ever get out much, maybe that's just part of it. So I just have a healthy I'll say it this way. I have a healthy dislike for bad behavior, and I don't care where it's coming from. But it seems to be, black people are the 12% of this population in this nation. So how are we responsible for 80% of the crime and all the dumb stuff I see going on out there? Black folks, get it together. I mean, I'm just going to tell you, keep it straight. Now, this obviously isn't everybody, but every single time I turn around when there's somebody acting up, seems to be the same people every time when I'm in the city. So I don't go to cities, okay? And I don't want to hang out with a bunch of dummies and hood rats. So anyway, back to positive things. Yeah, Mountain Readiness. Ann Vandersteel, she was out there. Like I said, Pat Militich, Dr. Will. I'm going to be hanging out with Dr. Will again later this week. He's actually going to go and check out a couple of the sites, and he's going to do the testing. So my gut tells me we've already crossed the line. I think we did about a week ago, but he's going to put boots on the ground out here. I'm going to film it, and we're going to find out just where we are, because I really believe I literally got back in the studio like with minutes to spare before I started this show. So it's a good thing I prep ahead of time, huh? So, or at least have a really good idea. I mean, there's times I've done this show where I'm just, speaking from the hip and didn't have a whole lot in way of notes, but, I usually, not knowing how the day's going to unfold, I usually try to, put things together that I want to talk about. So it's working out good that way. So Dr. Will, yeah, he's going to be out here, and, man, I can't wait to have the official results. And then we'll call in the environmental engineers, and that's where it really costs us a lot of money. Well, not us, Living Soil Foundation at this point. And once again, thank all of you out there, because we moved the needle in a big way, and we raised, I want to say there was $3,000 that was raised out there. And these were a lot of folks, man. It hits you in the heart in the best kind of way when you see people out there donating, and it's all they can do just to put bread on their table. And they feel so strongly about the work that's being done that they give even when they don't have it to give. And, all the volunteers, man, people got to work second and third jobs right now. And out at the post office today, the lady, it was funny because I was dropping off the packages of the bone sauce and the comfrey that you guys ordered over the weekend. And the lady that takes your packages at the post office, she knows this because we're in there all the time. And she's like practically shuddering as I go in there. And I'm like, hey, how's it going? She's like, oh, and I see this stack of boxes all the way around her. I'm thinking, okay, well, she's probably up to her eyeballs on this. And then she goes on to tell me, she says, everybody is losing their minds over this tariff thing and this whole thing with China. And I'm like, really? I don't see enough people to know one way or the other. She's like, yeah, everybody that comes in here, now they got me on pins and needles. And then I'm driving out to the site, and I'm listening to Mike Adams talk about it on his show, and he's bringing up some stuff that's pretty doggone unimpeachable, folks. So you might want to get your house in order. What do I mean by that? Like he went through and he put it into, and you might try it yourself and see, but he put it into one of the not search engines, but one of the like Chat GPT or one of those things, or his own version of it. I think it's called Enoch. And it was basically saying, okay, by Monday, 6 weeks from now, you're going to start seeing shortages if this thing isn't rectified, because there are already boats not coming into any of the ports. So, folks, don't be like all the other people that wait for a hurricane to be practically at their front doors, and then all of a sudden they want to evacuate. I don't know how this thing may unfold. Who even knows? I can't even begin to predict. In fact, nobody can at this point. Well, very few can. And so here we are in this knife's edge where nobody knows what to do, how to plan. I mean, if you got a business, and I've said it before, what if you are an electrical contractor and you rely on that copper? All of it is coming from China. Well, if you bid the job 6 months ago and 14.2 copper, which is what they're wiring houses with these days. I mean, I was never a house electrician, but back in the day when I have done houses, it was always number 12 wire, but I guess they're doing it with 14 wire these days. But anyway, that small gauge wire was $62. The very next day it was 114, and which was kind of cold blooded because that stuff was already on the shelf. So you tell me how the price just went up already. Anyway, that was over at Lowe's. Anyway, imagine you're a plumbing contractor, electrical contractor, HVAC. Folks, there aren't too many components that don't come from China. So you might want to think about ways in which you can insulate yourselves. There's a reason why. Over and over and over again, I keep telling everybody, y'all, 2025 is going to be very, very strange. And if the Deagle report has anything to say about it, it might be very catastrophic. I mean, where do I stand on that? Look, I don't completely know, but for those that don't know, the Deagle report was basically predicting that by the end of 2025, the population numbers in all these Western countries were going to be in the toilet. It didn't say how you got there, but maybe we are the carbon they want to get rid of, you know? So anyway, stay alert, stay alive, folks. That's why we have that tagline to this program. Anyway, if you would, y'all give us a thumbs up and tell everybody we're live. Yeah, I was just talking about Mountainside with Ken and Amy, so I'm glad to see it in the house. So 25 is gonna get ugly. Yeah, I'm afraid so. 2025 is, folks, when I did that show in 2025, I didn't make any predictions per se, but I did tell you some things that were crazy. So you better get your house in order. And a lot of us right now, I mean, so many of us right now, it's all we can do just to put bread on the table. So if you can, go out there, get some extra canned goods. I mean, if you listen to Mike Adams, and he wasn't off base. I know he can be a little bit hyperbolic at times, but he wasn't off base. His analysis, I thought, was spot on. So you're going to start seeing some weird, I mean, just think about your auto parts. Where do you think all those come from? So if you drive old vehicles like us, I mean, you better hope they stick around for a while, because I remember during COVID, I mean, there were some vehicles that were just parked up in there forever and a day because they couldn't get parts. So be thinking about all the backups that you may need. So, yeah. So stay alert, stay alive. All right. So some other things I got to do. I'm working on that compost video, as some of you may have seen on YouTube, and I'm showing you how to get that nasty stuff that comes from a mulch yard and how you can turn it around. Well, I'm in the middle of doing that right now. In fact, I got a pile that I really need to get it out of the cage. So hopefully I'll get that film tomorrow. And I'm showing you folks, even if you have to buy that stuff off the shelf, how you can turn it around in record time. It's if you want a really thorough step-by-step version of how you do it, like from start to finish without using that junk, well, then check us out on Patreon. But otherwise, right there on YouTube, I'm kind of giving you the cliff notes of how you go about doing it. So I'm doing it two different ways, obviously. One, I'm doing like a cold method, and then the other way, I'm doing a thermophilic method. So we're going to find out which one works better. We're going to find it out all together, and I think you're going to be able. So it's kind of a cool thing. If you had to buy that junk, let's just say you had to buy it. Well, you could potentially buy it if you just have one decent, or if you know somebody with some decent compost. You can make an extract out of it and take the life and put it in an aqueous form, and then put it over your new stuff, or that junk you bought, because all of it's junk as far as I'm concerned. So we're in the middle of that, and hopefully have another video out before this week is over. All right, so some unpleasant news. Had a sheep down there in the pasture, got some infection in their foot, and I had to put her down today, so that's never fun. And it was a nasty infection too. I mean, one that got away from me before we could do anything about it. So it was really, really awful. So had to put her out of her misery. And those things do happen from time to time, folks. And you got to cull those animals. I mean it. Okay, let's just theoretically say that I did have the bandwidth and the time to fix it. Okay. Guarantee it's going to happen again. Guarantee. I mean, Greg Judy taught me that one, and it was a hard lesson, but thoroughly learned. That when if they don't have babies that are legit, or they have hoof issues, or they have this, they have that, they got to go in the freezer, folks. Don't wait till they get to the point. Don't keep trying to doctor them. Just harvest them. Put them in the freezer. If they show I know some guys that cull mercilessly. If they look the wrong way, if the hoofs are the wrong color, you want to do that, folks, or you're going to have a petting zoo, or you're going to have something that always needs your attention, and you'll never be able to do anything else with your life. So if you want an efficient farm, you got to cull heavily. And sadly, that was one of the things to do today. I know folks are a little bit upset. We don't have bone sauce in stock right now. Hopefully I can get on it tomorrow. I don't really know. It's so much of that depends on the weather. All the conditions have to be right. So the fire danger isn't high right now, but, there's just so many doggone irons in the fire, so many things I got to get done. So just like everybody else this time of year, but it's just busy. So, and that's for all you folks out there that are new to this lifestyle. Let me just tell you right now, spring, early summer is always, you feel like you're just stretched entirely too thin when you do this life. And then like William was saying the last time, when the harvest comes in, you're always going to feel like there's just not enough hours in the day. And that's just what it is. I mean, that's the nature of this life. So it's feast or famine a lot of times. And when you have so many different things going on, externally and otherwise, and just the farm work alone is enough to make you go on the funny farm if you're not prepared for it. So just know that this too will pass. So just hang in there, folks. If you're new to this life, it's always going to be this way. It's just part of the season. So you do what you do. All right. So I went out there and sprayed my project today and preparedness for Dr. Will coming in. So he said we needed one more treatment. I've actually put on 2 since then. And here before too long, I'm going to show you guys what this product is. They're working on making sure they got enough stuff in stock, I made sure I bought as much of it as I possibly could, because I'm combining Dr. Will's technology with my own, and we're finding out that it is on another level. It's off the charts. I mean, his stuff works, my stuff works, but my stuff has stuff his doesn't have, and it's vice versa. See, he's using Archaea. You'll have to look that up. Or extremophiles, we can call them that. He's using extremophiles as his heavy lifters in his product, and I'm using bacteria, fungi, nematodes. He's using things that are much, much smaller than mine. Well, what we're finding out is that when you combine the two, it's on another level. It really is. So once they get everything squared away from a business standpoint, I'll be able to tell you where you go to get this stuff, and it works. It works. I've been using it for some time, and just like with the Wave Watch and everything else, folks, I don't tell you until I've taken this thing for the serious college try. I will never get on this show and tell you, hey, go out and buy this stuff. But hey, it's definitely kicking. And if you can somehow get some good compost, man, you're going to have that. Wow. It's going to be off and running. Well, lastly, on the home front, man, it's starting to get, I don't know what happened, man. It just seems like it got cold again all of a sudden. So I'm out here wearing a doggone hoodie again. And here we are in May. So it looks like it's going to get pretty cool over the next few nights here in Western North Carolina. And hopefully it's not a function of them dumping more garbage on us like they do every single day, like all over this country. Which reminds me, so they just passed that thing down in Florida. Ann Vandersteel, who just happened to be out there, a lot of them are hoping that, the chemtrails are going to come to an end in Florida, because they never got them before. Well, what they don't realize, and Dr. Jane Ruby keeps pointing it out to everybody, is that what none of them seem to realize is, and I can't remember her name, but she was on the show, and it was through her platform that I realized that the state only owns so much elevation above the ground, and then above there, it's the feds, and that's where they're spraying. Just ask Tennessee. They passed it in Tennessee, and every single time I go through Tennessee, well, they're dumping that garbage out of the plains every single day. So now all these people in Florida, a lot of movers and shakers live down in Florida, man. They have had enough of it, and now they're starting to become vocal about it. And hopefully it starts to move the needle a little bit, because now all of a sudden they're saying, okay, they passed this thing. Now, you can't be spraying over Florida. And if it continues to happen, then I think some people are going to raise some serious cane. But even, people are thinking it's a blue day when they're just spraying at night, and they're using a different formula where it makes it a little more, the sky isn't blue. It's like almost blue, and they're still spraying at night. You can just go out and take a look. So, yeah, Linda's saying, yeah, right there in Central Texas. And yep, they fly over the house right into Tennessee. That's what Mountainside with Ken and Amy saying. So hopefully, the only good I can see coming out, well, not the only good, is that another state is recognizing this garbage is happening. But funny how nobody seems to own it and say, who's doing it? Who's responsible? Who's paying for it? Well, we're paying for it. We're paying for our own poisoning, basically. That's exactly what's happening. They're using your tax money to poison you. And by and large, most people in the United States of amnesia couldn't care less. But hopefully this starts to move the needle, because Florida did it. There was a lady I met at the Barbara O'Neill event, and she was wanting to get me on board. Hey, if you're listening, by the way, reach out to me. I'll do everything I can to blow the whistle on this stuff. I'm sick and tired of spending all the effort I do and all the other people listening out here to grow and produce the very best there is that I know how to do, only to have it poisoned by this junk that's falling from the sky. And if you think that, oh, I got a high tunnel, I'm safe. Folks, there's nanoparticles. Okay, every time that wind blows, it's pulling it right through your high tunnel. Every time your high tunnel, if you got a high tunnel, I guarantee it needs to breathe. So it's pulling that air in from the outside, and guess where it's going? Your screen ain't big enough to hold this stuff back. So we're doing the best we can, and we're going to keep trying to shine the light on it. Dane Wigington, and by the way, you're seeing this latest narrative, and then I'll move on. But I got to tell you this: you'll see in this latest narrative, and it was from people like RFK Jr., Alex Jones. Even Mike Adams to a certain extent. Well, a month ago, Dane Wigington called me up. If you don't know who he is, it's geoengineeringwatch.org, probably the foremost expert of geoengineering on the planet. And he's a friend of mine. We've become friends. And so Dane calls from time to time, and he told me about a month, maybe a month and a half ago, he says, watch, I guarantee you the next narrative is going to be is that they're putting it in the jet fuel, that all you're seeing is just residue of jet fuel. And then the second he said it, that he started to qualify by his explanation, and I already was thinking what he was saying. I said, he says, now, first of all, aluminum melts at 2,500 degrees. Those engines run at 3,500 degrees. How are these aluminum particles and all these other particles that we're finding and testing, how are they remaining intact going through the freaking engine? I'm not saying they're not doing part of it that way, but we have we see the nozzles on the plane dumping the stuff. Go watch the dimming. It's out there. What in the world are they spraying? They got so much video evidence of it. And then he told me this a month ago. And then not long afterwards, all of a sudden you hear Alex Jones, that bought and paid for shill. And then you hear all the others claiming the very same. And then Dane called me up again like 4 days ago. And he said, what did I tell you? I told you it was coming. So that's what the latest narrative is, because now it'll seem as if it's less harmless if it's just going through an engine. No, folks, that's not what's happening. Most of this stuff is coming from nozzles, okay? Most of it is. And if you watch those documentaries, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I had a really awesome conversation with an airline pilot this last weekend, by the way. Want to give a shout out to Brian. It was a joy to meet you. And can't wait to see you again, my man. And so many of the other folks that were out there too. It was a real pleasure to be there, hang out, and teach people a little bit about what we do. So, Redemption Shield. 10% off with promo code PERMA. Look, y'all, every time I do this, you know me. I'm G'd up from the feet up, and that means grounded. So if you need anything from Redemption Shield, PERMA will get you 10% off. And don't forget about Wave Watch, Billy 100. Yeah, folks were, it was funny because when I was out at that Mountain Readiness Expo this last weekend, folks were saying, you really do wear that thing, don't you? I'm like, absolutely. Every time I leave the house, for the most part, you will see it on my arm. Thank you so much, Linda. Every time I leave this house, that Wave Watch is on my arm because it has so many awesome settings. And as I said a moment ago, when you put me in public, I mean, generally, I don't do well. And so I start getting this anxiety. I know that it's something I'm working on. I'm absolutely working on. I get this anxiety in certain places because I live so isolated and I don't often interact with a whole lot of people. So when you dump me into a place, not the festival per se, because in those places I generally do great, unless there's some nut job that's following me to the bathroom or something, which happens. I kid you not. Well, where I'm like, hey, I'm going to run to the bathroom. Hey, I'll go with you. It's single occupancy, buddy. So, but that sort of thing does happen. No, it's not so much that. It's like when I, have to go to a city or something like that, or if I'm staying in a hotel room, I mean, I'm maybe a little too comfortable. Maybe I just need to get outside of my box a little bit because maybe that's the problem. Maybe a little too comfortable. But anyway, I'm always wearing that Wave Watch when I'm out and about. And so, yeah, a number of people said, yeah, man, you really do wear that thing. Yeah, absolutely. And it's on... I think I had it on anxiety setting out there. So Billy 100 will get you squared away. And I think they even got a special right now. I think they got the price lowered a little bit. So let's talk about some good news here. So, okay, this is a double-edged sword. So I'm not speaking with forked tongue when I say this. Mass protests erupt across China as Trump tariffs trigger economic crisis. So this is... I really don't know how to feel about some of this stuff. I don't want to see anybody suffer. But at the same time, I mean, I'm more worried about Americans suffering because, you know what? Let's think about China for a minute, folks. everybody wants to talk about the Holocaust, but they never talk about the Holodomor, which way more people were killed. Nobody ever talks about what Mao Zedong, at the behest of our government, because we put him in there. There was Chiang Kai-shek, and then we kicked him out so we could put in Mao Zedong. And Chairman Mao killed anywhere between 80 to 121 or 120 million people in China. Those are conservative numbers. 80 to 120 million. And nobody even knows. How do you murder that many people that you can have a gap that wide? I don't know. But the point being, the Chinese Communist Party, I want to see, where's the Holocaust Museum for these folks? Or the ones in the Holodomor? How about the ones that, Pol Pot killed a third of his own population in Cambodia? A third. Where's the museums for all these folks? But I digress. My point being is that and don't think for a minute that our CIA isn't over there, fomenting some kind of rebellion. If it means it kicks out the Communist Chinese Party, man, more power to them. I think this is coming down to a war of which population can deal with the suffering worse. Now, if you ask my opinion, look, people will turn over all of Louisiana that day that the EBT cards weren't working down in New Orleans. So what do you think is going to happen if we ain't got food or whatever? Most of the bacon in the store, believe it or not, comes from China. What do you think is going to happen if all of a sudden, I think it's coming down to which population is going to burn stuff down first. And it wouldn't shock me none that as we're putting the squeeze on, you better believe the Central Intelligence Agency is over there trying to foment riots and everything else. So I think this is going to come down to which population can endure the hardship the most. Clearly, without a doubt, Chinese are not like Americans, man. That's why so many expats go to places in South America, because they don't have as far to fall. People, I just saw, in fact, it was on Twitter earlier today. Some black lady was in the middle of a restaurant just tossing the place upside down because I guess they forgot to put cheese on their sandwich. Okay, you got people that will do that. What do you think these hood rats will do? All of a sudden, they don't have whatever coming in. You name it. It's going to get stupid. But if I'm looking on the positive here, I'm like, man, if they take these people in the CCP and all of a sudden turn Tiananmen Square on its head and those people are getting run over by tanks, you ain't going to catch me crying. I guarantee. So I suspect that might be what's going on, because honestly, wow, if you could turn China from being communist, but also you have a very compliant people in a lot of Asian countries. These people are not like people in Thailand, man, where, you got some of the baddest, nobody's ever conquered Thailand. Thai boxing, these are the toughest people in the planet outside of Brazilians. But anyway, I'm talking as a general population. There's a reason why Thailand has never been conquered, okay? They got this martial culture, and they can put up with some suffering. Well, the same thing with the Chinese people. But if the CCP goes away, you're not going to catch me crying about that. And like I said, if it goes Tiananmen Square in reverse, I'm definitely not going to cry over that. So I wonder what these people would do. And then typical, you can't go in there and give anybody freedom. History proves that can't happen. But if people fight their own revolution and they make things work, then more power to them. So maybe some heads will start rolling in the CCP. And, they're over there like harvesting organs and everything else. I'm sure that's where Dick Cheney got his new heart. The Falun Gong and all the other Uyghurs, man, all the stuff, the mobile execution vans. All this other stuff that goes on over there. But yeah. So I probably spent too much time on that. But folks, if it turns out for the good, then I'm not going to complain. All right, so here's another good one. Black cumin seed oil in traditional and cultural traditions, stories from around the world. Well, basically, black seed oil is what it is. I don't know how many people use it out there, but I use it every single time with all the stuff they're dumping from the clouds, all the stuff that I don't know. I mean, you get the sniffles or whatever, man, that stuff really does a number on it. It'll knock it out. So I always keep some in the cabinet. Well, at least Michelle does. And she's used it on the sheep before, and I think she still does from time to time. But black seed oil is another one of those things that goes especially well. It was one of the go-tos during COVID too, when people were in a bad way. So you might want to make sure you have a little bit of that around. So RFK Jr., I've been highly critical of him, but RFK Jr. accuses the Biden administration of enabling child trafficking. How is this not on every single news station all over the United States of amnesia? I mean, when I heard it, I had to back it up, and I'm like, whoa, is this really happening? That's exactly what happened, folks. And then you had the White House press secretary today put out something on a tweet that's going viral right now, talking about Hillary Clinton and all these other, Fauci and all the rest of them, get used to life in Alcatraz. I will eat. Yes, I agree. RFK Jr. is a Zionist puppet, along with everybody else in the Trump administration. Let's just be honest here. All of them are. All of them. If there's an exception, somebody tell me, because I don't know who it is. Gerald Celenti's talking about it all the time. How about America first? I don't ever remember voting for somebody for Israel first or England first or Germany first or whatever else. But what about America first? Yeah, every single one of these people are puppets, and I make no bones about it. Now, I know I lose people every time I say that, but hey, prove me wrong. Name one that isn't, because they all are. But yeah, even if a notorious liar tells the truth, it's still the truth, okay? So when RFK Jr. came out, and yes, he's been a profligate liar as of late, because everything he said he was going to do, I mean, the fact that he came out in favor of mRNA, I mean, boy, Dr. Jane Ruby is raking this dude across the coals like nothing I've ever seen before, and she brings the receipts, y'all. So if you don't, I mean, we got a Twitter account, Permapastures Farm, but I'm telling you what, if you're on there, you might want to check out Dr. Ruby, because like I said, she's just not leveling accusations, man. She's bringing the receipts. But regarding what he said, as far as the Biden administration, kudos for that. All right, now let's start seeing some heads roll, okay? Like Dan Bongino posted this little podunk, whatever they put on Twitter. I was like, yeah, good job. Now, can you start going after the people on the Epstein client list? How about that? So right now, all I'm hearing is a bunch of talk. I haven't seen anything. All I see is Israel first. Like I've even said it before. Hey, okay, Trump, you promised $3 billion to North Carolina. If we got any of it, I'm still seeing 12-foot debris piles around here. I don't know where it went. Oh, I got an idea. Why don't you give us half of what you gave Israel and us in Tennessee, you know, all the places that were affected. I'm not asking for any handouts, but I'm just giving you an illustration here. If you gave us half of what you guys are giving over there for them to drop more bombs in Gaza, we could probably rebuild the entire interstate highway system. But no, we don't have any money here at home, but and we're not for foreign aid, but we're giving it to Israel and Jordan and Egypt. What happened to America first? What am I missing here? So yeah, it's America first. And then when you have congressmen going into Congress wearing outfits of another army that isn't the United States Army, going into a session of Congress, it kind of tells you everything you need to know right there. And then one time, one of the most, despite his speech impediment or his voice impediment, RFK Jr., that I've seen that guy rake everybody across the coals in a debate and whatever else. I mean, brilliant debater, the whole 9 yards. But until they started asking him about Israel, and then that guy hammed up like nothing I've ever seen before. Folks, I'm America first. I'm an American, okay? You dig? So outside of that, I don't know what the discussion is. I don't know what the debate is. And don't tell me they're our number one friend in the Middle East. Has anybody ever taken account of who actually bombed the USS Liberty? You know, the most decorated naval vessel in United States history. You want to know who did that? Why they did it, and did it on purpose? And still to this day, not even so much as an apology. And all the people, the ones that are still alive from that, have been told, if you ever speak about who did this and why, we're going to make sure you stop breathing. Yeah. All that came from your number one ally out there, folks. They're lying to you. Your preachers are lying to you. And look, you're hearing this from a blood-bought soldier of Christ. And I've said this over and over and over again. These people are not your friend. The political state of Israel is not your friend. Oh, don't like what I said there? Well, there's other people to listen to. Trust me, you'll find no shortage of people out there that are just willing to, they won't tell you what they really think, even though privately, there's certain people that will tell me this stuff privately, but won't publicly say it. Well, what good are you? I mean, what are you hoping they get to you last? Look, man, I'm out there. Okay. I've said it before. What's going on is a travesty. You give how many billions and billions? We give billions to wealthy countries. Okay. Explain that to me. Meanwhile, there's mom and pop down the road, living on a fixed income, flipping coins as to whether or not they're going to take their heart medication or whether or not they're going to eat cat food that day. And you think I'm supposed to be worried about Israel? Yeah. All right. I'll leave that one right there. It's probably best I go to, I'm starting to get fired up just talking about this. And look, I know there's going to be a fair, every time I talk about this, the devotees, like I said, folks, they got it all wrong. They got it all wrong. The political state. What was the latest? Out of hell with it, man. I'm already talking about it. Look, I think they did the latest poll over there. And they come to find out, first of all, I want to say, I don't know, 70 or 80% of them over there are atheists. So how are they the Israel of the Bible? Did you know it's illegal to do a DNA test over there? Did you know that? Because it's true. Almost none of these people, and this is coming from Israel scholars, none of these people have Abrahamic blood. Almost none of them, none of the Ashkenazis. How's that happening? And we're supposed to get our kids all set up, join the military. If anything, I would encourage everybody, and you're hearing this from a former soldier, I would encourage everybody to boycott military service. In fact, some of the people I was talking to, they are getting out right now. These are some of them. At this Mountain Readiness Festival, folks, you will find the best of the best, the creme de la creme, okay? These guys are getting out in record numbers because they're like, I ain't fighting for Israel. I'm getting out. Even though my career is looking great, I could probably make general, okay? And after 12 years of service, I'm getting out because I could see the handwriting on the wall, and record numbers are doing this right now. Okay, you're not hearing those numbers, at least the ones that have any sense. But then you have the other ones who are thinking, well, it's a paycheck and I'm here. Man, I spent a whole lot of money and time to become a special operations guy. Or, man, I just got done with sapper school, man. I hate to get out now. Or I just got done with Ranger school. Or, I just made SF selection. Guys that were all gung-ho before, man, they are on the first thing smoking out of there because they're like, no, I'm not about to go sign up and go over here and die in the Middle East for somebody else's dumb stuff. And, yeah. Okay, this time I will keep it there. But one of these days, I'm probably going to twist off and I'm probably going to lose my channel and everything because the more this stuff unfolds, the more I see it happening and the more hoople-headed dummies out there that just keep believing this stuff without question. Don't ask any critical questions, or these pastors in the pulpit out there saying the most awful things like, these are children. How much of Palestine is actual Christians? But you have Christians over here cheering on, Christian pastors cheering on the murder, the dismemberment of these little babies that I see over there. How do you call yourself a Christian and then not propose anything but peace? Blessed are the peacemakers. I didn't hear anything about blessed are the war makers. So what's wrong with you people? So you can go ahead and stay in these churches if you want to. This is why I do my church online, folks, because I will not. I mean, you want to see somebody act a fool. Let me be in the church and some preacher starts saying this, kill them all, let God sort them out. That's the kind of nonsense that's happening right now. I'm not going to be a part of it. And there's a record number of soldiers right now. The ones that have sense, they're getting out because they're like, I'm not going over here to die for this. Ain't going to happen. And it's bad enough that we've already suffered enough in wars where Just like Henry Kissinger said, former Secretary of State, National Security Advisor Henry Kissinger, he was quoted as saying, military men are big, stupid animals that should be used as tools for foreign policy, and people in this government actually saw him as a hero. Are you kidding me? Yeah, what a complete Nazi. Yeah, he was a Nazi. So anyway, we're going to go over to my man, Eric Sider.
Hey, Eric Sider here with your Pimpcast tip of the day. Today's tip, new ethical nations. While most of permaculture focuses on building new landscapes and regenerating forests, we must also use this information to cause social and economic change. Our current systems invest in destructive, abusive undertakings, so we have to develop strategies counter to this. We are trying to grow systems that repair the earth, and our groups need to focus on achieving primary production, systems management, domestic nutrition, and economic viability in a global network of small, manageable arrangements. We have access to all we need for true wealth: clean food, nurturing environment, efficient shelters, real community, without the constraints of the economic power structure. From this foundation, we need to define problems and solve them locally, sharing that information for the benefit of all. This is the start of how we change. There must be a common responsibility for nature and other people, as well as a realization that exploitive gains come at the expense of others. Our working lives can't be dedicated to destructive purposes, while our personal lives seek to have social and environmental responsibility. In other words, we can't teach one way of living, but live working towards another. This means we have to learn integrated systems framework, acknowledging the distant effects of our actions at home and work. In a large web of small systems, this strategy is possible, and we can access all we need. The best route to security is via teaching strategies, ethics, and resource management while allowing people ample leisure time for a cultured life. The United Nations is not actually representative of the majority of people or true nations, as it represses the voice of those aspiring to a common ethic and similar culture rather than being tied together by a landmass. If our goal is to repair the earth, strive for peace, and direct our capital to these ends, then there are thousands of organizations working towards these goals. Millions and millions of people, outnumbering political parties or oppressive groups, want peace, a clean environment, an end to malnutrition, and the termination of oppression. We don't need a world center for this, wrought with power blocks and administrative inefficiencies. Instead, we can create a global nation acting under the same creed. Actions are guided by ethics. You can find me on YouTube and Instagram at Eric Sider. And if you're in need of permaculture t-shirts or remote permaculture consultation and design, head over to ericsider.com. And for those in the Sacramento area, check out my permaculture community group, permaculturefairoaks.org.
That's my dog right there. Major Ken says, interesting. I saw Billy this weekend in Mountain Readiness, but he can't read chat. Weird. No, I can see the chat barely with these glasses on. So they're blue light blockers, and it's on the screen, but it's tough to do with these glasses. So if I can kind of focus on it for a minute, then I can bring it in. And speaking of chat, man, you guys got a lot of great comments out there. Yeah, that's the one downside when you host a show by yourself. You can't really kind of get into the chat as much as I'd like. But yeah, Steve, the best way to kneecap the money changers, bam, there you go. The best way to kneecap the money changers is to remove all net worth from the system. Land, gold, silver, tangibles. That's what I'm talking about. And yes, nobody knows that better than Steve. So we talk about it. Steve's one of the few guys out there. And I need to correct because I said, Steve got with me too. He says, and he's right. We've talked about this many times where, I said, man, why is it all the people that are into Bitcoin or, that are all about Bitcoin, all about gold, all about silver, none of these people grow any food? And he's like, hey, you didn't get that one right, bro. And he's like, he's right. Steve's the exception. But yeah, a lot of you folks out there that are into, if you're too myopic in your preparedness, yeah, I mean, it's good to have some silver. I mean, that's how I roll. Just like Steve, I mean, that's exactly how we roll around here. It's intangible things you can touch. I know people are into Bitcoin and stuff like that. Well, I don't know that I'm ever going to be comfortable with that because you can't touch it. What if you had an EMP? What if, I mean, there's just a whole lot of what ifs out there. And I know all the arguments for and against it, but man, at the end of the day, gold and silver, God's money. You know, that's what I'm using. So anyway, that's the way I roll. Just checking. Everybody's got to hang together. That's right, Major Ken. All right, so check this out. I got an email, and I thought it would make a pretty good show topic. Let me see if I can pull it up right quick. Hopefully I have no hiccups here, because I thought it might, in light of what we're doing. Look, I'm not going to be able to pull it up right now. I mean, folks, I get so many doggone emails a day, and then they just cycle through. So I'm just going to kind of convey. The email was basically asking, hey, what if you got a lot of pollution on the property? You know, what are some things you can do? You know, what if you have all these toxins out there? Or what if you made the mistake and put the toxins out yourself? I mean, maybe not knowing any better. Well, that's what I'm going to cover right now, because I'm thinking, man, there's a lot of people that probably fall into that category. Or maybe, just maybe, there's a piece of land out there you might have your eye on, but man, it looks like, the Exxon Valdez was out there first. So you're thinking, okay, well, what do I do? How do I go about, how do I clean this up? Well, Dr. Will and Pat this weekend were talking about basic remediation strategies. And Dr. Elaine Ingham also has talked a great deal about this is absolutely insane when you stop to think about it. Let me tell you how it goes. Okay, so if you have a major spill or whatever, here is how the remediation strategy works. In all of if the government, and I don't care what level of government, this is how they go about it. They'll go out there with some heavy machinery. They'll scoop out all of that ground that they think is infected. Let's say they go down 3-4 feet. They'll put it on the back of a truck, drive that truck from, let's say, whether it was Ohio, North Carolina, whatever the case may be. You know, now if it was the Twin Towers, they take it over to China so they can get rid of the evidence. Yeah. There's an inside joke, if you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, if it wasn't the Twin Towers or Building 7, they don't put it on a barge and send it on over to China to be melted down. No, they'll put it on a truck and they'll drive it out to a desert site somewhere in, let's say, Arizona, New Mexico, somewhere out there, somewhere out west, and they'll dump it there. I'm dead serious. Then they'll take soil from some other place and put it in that spot. That's exactly how, I kid you not, folks, that is how it goes. Elaine Ingham used to get absolutely infuriated with the notion of doing that. And you should. And so does Pat and Will when they were talking about it at this last festival. So is there a way to remediate this stuff on spot? Let's say you have a place on your okay, let's say it's whatever the case may be. Let's say you had a tractor there and it just it was leaching all kinds of stuff out of there. Well, first of all, you give oil enough time, believe it or not, there's some natural biological processes that'll take care of it. But there's also some things you can do. Let's say you went out there and you made the mistake, you didn't know any better, let's say you inherited this land or you bought it from somebody, and let's say for years and years they put Grazon on it. That's a problem. And then others are saying that these forever chemicals, look, folks, I don't think there are any forever chemicals. And I've talked about it. I was talking about it to a great extent this weekend. Like, take, for example, the Lubka farm. I've talked about it on this podcast before. Lubka, I think it's Leubke. They were downwind of Chernobyl. To this day, you can't get a Geiger counter to go off. To this day. So what were they doing on that farm that made them so special, that made them impervious to radiation? They were doing windrow composting. Dead serious. And check this out. When Chernobyl went down, they had a whole field full of brassicas, and they still couldn't get radiation. So what was happening? Because what we're talking about here, folks, is transmutation. So you're telling me radiation 360 degrees all the way around this farm, but this farm from that time until today is still unaffected. I mean, people think I'm crazy. Go do the research on it. Absolutely unaffected. Yeah, so they were doing... Yeah, I'm wondering what all this chomping around was in this room. I realized Michelle's dog's in here. So anyway, this windrow composting. So we have to assume then, and don't count on mainstream science to figure this out. You would think that every scientist, every soil scientist in the world would have been over there to examine this place and find out what was so special about this farm. Well, through these biological processes, we know that so many of these things can be transmuted. Okay. And we know that if you give it enough time, that, no, I can't say we know transmutation is happening. I don't know what other conclusion you can, if you have one thing that comes in and it leaves something else, something happened. I'm going to call that transmutation. Okay. I don't have a better word for it. I don't know what you call it, but the radiation's coming in, but it ain't sticking. It ain't working. It ain't happening on there. So it tells us that we do have solutions for these so-called forever chemicals and situations. So I'm going to throw a few of them at you right now, because this is exactly what we're doing on this project out there. Now, to give you a basis of understanding, is that on this project out there by the river, when we did 3 different tests, basically confirmed that there was some sort of nuclear whatever going on over there. And there was every awful so-called forever chemical all right there in this when we tested. Okay. So now we're finding out that by using the methodology of combining Dr. Will's techniques along with my own, that we are hitting the finish line, folks. This usually, if we were doing it just with my stuff, we're looking at maybe a year or 2. Folks, we're hitting the finish line in months. And if it had been warm the whole time, we could have potentially got there within like 2 months. This is an impossibility for most people, but I'm going to give you some of the method. I'll give you more of it later. I'll give you the more technical stuff later and how you can go about doing it. But look, one way of doing this is bioremediation by using fungi. Now, it's in my compost extract, but I'm not so sure there's a whole lot of it in Dr. Will's stuff. Like I said, he's working with archaea and extremophiles, but the fungi is coming from me. So I can formulate my compost and put certain fungi in there. Let's say let's say it's a grazon out there, okay? Well, I guarantee there's a fungi, there's a bacteria, there's something out there that's going to eat this thing up. If it's not my stuff, I guarantee it's Dr. Will's stuff. But when you combine them both, I guarantee the best of both worlds is happening. The best of everything is happening. So I can give you like Staphoria stuff. I can never pronounce these mushroom names that are really good for breaking down heavy metals, petroleum, and all that stuff. Wine cap mushrooms, things like that. You know, there's so many of them out there. Okay, now phytoremediation. That's using plants. And you can employ this in your strategy too. So let's say you got a farm or you got a piece of property. Okay, so here's some good ones. Sunflowers, Indian mustard, comfrey, believe it or not, will help suck up some of that stuff. It'll help avoid heavy metals and toxins, but you don't use these things in isolation. Like so many of the people out here that were doing it in Western North Carolina or calling themselves soil remediation. Oh, just put biochar down. And of course they're the typical, what you would expect to be. I'm like, just biochar, huh? Is it charged with anything? Because biochar all by itself is really not doing a whole lot. You have to charge it. You can either do it through the digestive system of an animal, or you can take your compost extract and put it in there, and basically it'll fill those apartment spaces, so to speak, within that biochar. So that's another way of going about it. So, you know, activated charcoal or biochar, you could do that. That is a strategy. Sheet mulching and organic matter. Folks, do you have any idea, just by putting carbon on the soil, how far that goes in cleaning up a mess? Because all of a sudden, if you have just bare dirt out there, which is what a lot of places are, if you have just bare dirt out there, you don't have a whole lot in terms of microbes. Folks, I promise you, do this experiment and tell me if I'm crazy. I've told people to do it over and over again and report back to me. Let me know what you find out. Let's say you got a field and it's mostly dirt. I want you to take a wooden box that just can't blow away, like a wooden box. Let's say it's about a 3x3, okay, or maybe a 4x4. And let's say it's about a foot tall. And I want you to fill it up. Now, if you have just a field full of dirt, I want you to take that box, put it out there, and I just want you to do nothing but take straw or even wood chips. I don't care what it is. Put down some cardboard first if you'd like. You don't have to, but it works better if you did. Take that 4x4 box, put maybe 2-3 layers of cardboard in there, and then cover it up with some straw or hay or wood mulch, whatever. And then come by, compare that box, that wooden box that will not move, will not blow away, won't fly away, none of that stuff, and then go check it 6 months later. And then check it 6 months after that. Compare that soil underneath that box compared to the soil next to it. And tell me what you find out. You're going to find out that even though you didn't put it there, you're probably going to have life in there like abundantly just below that 4x4 box. So it goes to show you that when you put carbon on the soil, this is why when you graze your animals, you don't let them eat it plumb down to the ground, because when the sun comes back out, it's going to scorch that ground, and all your beneficial microbes, they're either going to go away, or they're going to get killed, or they're going to go deep. Things like your nematodes, they will go deep. Your worms, they'll go deep if they're even there anymore, depending on what the poisoning was. Like I said, you don't even have to put it there, and that life will find its way into that box. So just by sheet mulching or just putting down a carbon layer makes all the difference in the world. Obviously, one that goes without question is clearly compost. I mean, when you make a biocomplete compost, let's say if it's going on let's say it's going in a pasture, a place you're going to be working with your animals, or even in your garden. So you're at least going to want somewhere in the neighborhood of about a 50-50 mix of bacteria to fungi. Okay. If you bought that stuff from the store, if you got any fungi in there, I'm a monkey's uncle, or any appreciable amounts, 9 times out of 10, yeah, there's plenty of bacteria, no problem in that to score, but you need that fungi in there as well. Okay. Because now all of a sudden, if you get the bacteria and fungi, now you have the things that eat the bacteria and the fungi and keep them in balance. It's like if you have nothing but bacteria in there, it's like having a bunch of gazelles out there with no lions. You need the entire food chain out there. So composting helps do that. Now, if you want to, try this experiment. It's on the heels of the experiment I just told you. Now, take a second box. Okay, you got the first box. Go out there, just put carbon in it. Now, take a second box, go out there and fill it halfway with compost, and then fill it the rest of the way with carbon. And then watch what happens. Go back, check it 6 months, and then check it 6 months later. You'll find out that it's even better than the first box that had nothing but carbon in it. Just by putting cardboard, compost, and mulch on top. Try it that way. And now, take a third box, and then remember what I talked about with phytoremediation? Okay, so take another box. This is your third box that will not blow away. Put down your cardboard, compost, carbon, and then plant some sunflowers in that box and look at that soil. Which one do you think is going to be better? So each one, this is why I'm saying none of this stuff should be done in isolation. Everybody wants a panacea. They want a 1-2 punch that's going to get you to the finish line. No, it's a collection of all these things. And that's exactly what we're doing on this site. So there's a combination of phytoremediation, it's all bioremediation, but when you get down to brass tacks, we're employing all of it, using fast carbon pathways and all these other things that we want to use out here to get that life back in the soil. Because once the life kicks off, unless you do something stupid, it won't ever go away. That's the beauty of being able to do this, because once you get your soil up to snuff, unless you do, and okay, so somebody's going to say, well, what's something stupid? Okay, putting Grazon back out there, putting dewormer, giving your animals dewormer. Yeah, it's okay to don't give it to your livestock, but maybe to your dogs or whatever if they need it. But outside of that, you are killing the life in the soil. Giving your animals, your livestock dewormer is like getting rid of all of the lions in the savannah, because you're getting rid of your worms. Those are some of your top predators in that soil. So, other things you can do, reed beds, vermicompost, you can even employ that. So if you want to kick it up even more, okay, take a fourth box. Okay, put raw manure down first. Raw. It could just come right out. Put that down first. Then put down your cardboard. Now put down some vermicompost. Then put down your regular compost. Now cover it up with some wood mulch, and then grow your stuff out of that, and then find out what happens. You see I think you see the picture I'm painting here, right, folks? So you don't want to take one dog to the hunt. You want to take them all to the hunt. Now, you could theoretically use Dr. Will's product, and yeah, it's going to eat that stuff up. But why? Why would you want to do that? Because you're going to be right back at square one here before long if you don't have a ground cover in. You need to cover it. Nature is modest. She likes to wear clothes, okay? So you want to employ all these different things. So if you have if you have a problem on your property, these are some of the strategies that you can go and use if you think, oh, you know what, it might be a clever way of you buying a piece of land that maybe nobody else wants. Maybe they just denuded the soil and they destroyed it. Well, that's of no consequence to me because I know that no matter how bad it is, I know that I can bring it back. That's why I'm able to buy land for very little money down. This is how you could too if you learn these things, folks. Like I said, just try these little experiments. Go out here and give it a shot. Tell me if I'm crazy. Just take a box and put wood chips in it. Go back and check it 6 months and then 6 months after that and tell me what happens. You're going to find out that there was life in there, and the life couldn't be there if the soil is still polluted. So it's so incredible how God put all this stuff in motion, and all you have to do is put the right pieces in place. It is really, really that simple, folks. And then, of course, obviously cover cropping. I mean, if you can do that, chop and drop, once you get that life in there, folks, strategic, placement of trees and stuff like that, it's going to help cool the soil. If you can bring all this stuff together, folks, you will be shocked at how quickly things can turn around, even in a bad place on your property, whether it was you the one, whether you're the culprit and you didn't know any better. Maybe you didn't know how to run animals and you got way too much compaction out there. Okay, maybe you need to thin the herd for a little while and let that grass grow up a little bit. Let them, learn a little bit of management, grazing management strategies and stuff like that. Get a subscription to Stockman Grass Farmer, best magazine out there regarding, I mean, it's a small little publication, inexpensive, but man, it's packed with so much awesome information in there. So things like that, folks, I mean, it can really make all the difference in turning your land around if you have some serious problems out there. So, and to me, it's fun. I mean, that's what makes me enjoy doing the work I love so much, because knowing that this thing was a complete mess, and just through good management, we're able to turn it around. And that's what we're doing right now by the river where all that pollution was. And we're going to shock the world because they're telling us these chemicals can't exist out there. So guess what? As soon as Dr. Will comes out, he gives the okay. We'll call in the engineers, spend another pile of money to get those guys back out here, but then go get some lab results confirming that we've crossed the finish line. And then there's going to be some people out there eating some crow. And hopefully we will have a decentralized way of getting across the finish line in polluted areas that everybody can use. We already have it down. We already feel like we have it down, but I want to make sure all the ducks are in a row, make sure we have all the testing out there, because guess what? It sure is funny that when Mountain True and the local government around here says, oh, it's not that bad, it's all clear, everybody believes them. But the second I come out and Bear comes out and Dr. Will comes out, and we doing a show talking about just how polluted it is around here, they want my lab results. But you don't ask for them. For the people that are telling you it's all clear, yeah, pretty weird world we live in, right, folks? All right, y'all. It's been a joy to hang out with you again tonight. William is he's traveling right now, so he's got his hands full right now. So whole lot going on. He's going to be at the festival. Oh shoot, what is it called? Man, I'll make sure I have it on the next show. Man, I just can't think of it right now, but it's going to be pretty much going this whole week. Bobby Spags is going to be putting it on, or maybe go check out William's YouTube channel. The permaculture consultant. He's talking about it in every single video over there. So make sure you go check him out. You're going to be glad you did. And I want to thank everybody in the chat here tonight. Until next time, y'all, stay alert, stay alive.
Channel and nature, let the knowledge ring. With roots that run deep, wisdom from soil, permaculture dreams. Let the ideas unfold. I'm grooving with the truth. Feeling nature's good. Who's got the answers? All we need to do, listen to the earth, they got us through. Let's see the change, watch the world spin. From the smallest sprout to harmony begin. In the cycle of life, where the magic's alive. Tune it to the beat, feel the fire and thrive.